With that, it's also important to acknowledge that you can't change someone, and the saying, what you see is what you get, is probably a realistic mantra of what to expect. Like if you're dating someone with a terrible spending habit, don't expect that you could change that person in any time.
Yes, I agree with this. Like if you're dating someone with, for example, like Stephan said, that who has a terrible spending habit, then you probably won't be able to change that person, because the only person that can change you is you. Hey guys, Alex here. Welcome back to my channel, a channel about real estate, personal finance, and business. In today's vlog, I will be doing a reaction video on one of Stephan's videos, my thoughts on money and relationships. But before anything else, please don't forget to hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to my channel so that you will be notified if I have new videos like this one. Okay, so let's get into the video.
What's up, you guys? It's Graham here. So a little over a year ago, I posted a video about why I was single, and well, lo and behold, weird timing, but right after I posted the video, I met my girlfriend Macy. And since then, I've largely shut the door on addressing relationship topics here in the channel because, well, we're an investment channel. We keep things money related around here. But I also know that many of you have been asking for my thoughts on money and relationships and whether or not it complicates things and how to go about meeting someone else who's financially like-minded. So I'll give in, I'll share my experiences and exactly what I've learned along the way. Because listen, I get it. As fun as it could be to build up your career, invest consistently, grow your wealth, increase your credit score, and smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm, at the end of the day, I'm sure most of you aren't just doing this to watch your bank account multiply in zeros, and you would love to meet a partner along the way who you could share those experiences with and grow.
Okay, so I agree with what Stephan said in this video, that I was really the same. When I started my career as a real estate broker, I was all about work, and not really about relationships. I didn't really have much time to date. But then there came a point in my life when I really wanted also to settle down, get married, have kids, all that hoopla. And so that was when I met my husband. And I met him at the point in my life where I was ready to settle down. So in connection with what he's saying, it's good to work hard and be career oriented, because I was the same. Like when I was in my early 20s up to my late 20s, I was very career oriented and really focused on building my career versus getting into relationships. But once you are ready to get married, that's when you should start to open up yourself to be in relationships. That's when I started to open the possibility of getting married. But if you are not ready to get married yet, like if you're still in college, if you're still going to school, or if you're in a middle of a life-changing event like moving abroad or something, or if you're still beginning your career and you don't have time to be in a relationship yet, so I would suggest that you hold off on being in a relationship until you are ready to get married. Because personally, I don't believe in a long courtship or even a long engagement. When Jong and I became a couple, he proposed 8 months after, and I believe that 1 year is enough to figure out if you're really right for each other. But again, singles, don't be in a relationship if you're not ready to get married, because then what's the point? You would just be extending something that may not be meant to be. So because when you are ready to get married, you will have a different mindset going inside a relationship. You will be looking at the person that you are dating as someone who could be a potential spouse, compared to if you were not ready to be in a relationship. Perhaps, I'm not speaking for everyone here, but I know some friends who are not ready to get married and are in relationships, but they don't see themselves marrying that person. So, what's the point? So again, singles, go into a relationship if you're already ready to get married.
in the same direction. So here's my experience when it comes to this, and I say this as a now 30-year-old who has been laser career-driven focused and extremely frugal. Or actually, I'm going to refer to it as being diligently financially responsible, because that sounds a lot better. I know this video is not necessarily investment related, but I think when we really get down to it, it's a very important subject that I think more people should openly talk about. So I'll start as soon as you smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. That like button better not be single, so just by giving it a quick tap, you're telling it that you will love and cherish it forever. So thanks so much, and let's begin right here. First, I want to talk about something that I see commented a lot, and that's the notion that money complicates things, or it becomes very difficult to tell if someone likes you for you or if they like you for what you have, and I come at this from a very unique viewpoint. On the one hand, I'm extremely open about how much money I make and from where, probably to a fault, because you could look me up and it's all right there, right out in the open. But on the other hand, I love saving money and try to find new ways to cut back on my spending. Like until recently, I would use my grocery bags as trash bags, so it saved me a few cents, and I would save the restaurant condiment packets because I didn't want to buy my own bottle of ketchup and soy.
Okay, so what he's doing is something that someone I know is also doing. I have this really wealthy uncle who is also an entrepreneur and a businessman. He's been in business for the last 30 years, I think. And he has a lot of properties, a lot of investments. He has a big net worth, but he saves the condiments that come in packs. So when we eat out, like when he goes to Jollibee or any fast food out there, he always brings the condiment packets home because he said that that's already saving. So I guess this would be a really good tip for those who want to cut back on their expenses. Then yeah, you can definitely do this. Why not? I mean, you could also use these condiment packets at home.
Sauce. Yeah, you can't tell me that women see that and they're like,
yeah, I met the perfect guy the other night. He told me he hasn't bought a bottle of ketchup in years, and he uses grocery bags as trash bags. That's when I knew he was the one.
Here's what I've realized over the years. You will attract what you think you're worth and what you put out there. And how you portray yourself will have a direct effect on the type of people you meet and how they view you. This goes much further than just relationships, by the way. This includes friends, business colleagues, acquaintances, you name it. If you lead and attract people with flashy cars, clothing, and status, you will tend to attract the people who are most receptive to those qualities.
As for me, being in the real estate industry, I get to meet a lot of wealthy people. And many of my clients are either high income earners or are very successful entrepreneurs. And what I noticed about them is that they live very simply, and most of them are quite frugal. They really know how to manage their money. They're very careful where to spend their money. So I don't know with other countries, but it's like that here in the Philippines at least, and with my clients that are wealthy. So I think that if you really want to grow your wealth, I believe that the best way to do it is through being very responsible financially. Like to really place your money in places where you can grow, and to watch out on your expenses, where you're spending your money, and to try to cut back on unnecessary expenses.
There's a saying out there that says that like attracts like, and you subconsciously gravitate towards people who share your same beliefs. If you're a negative person, guess what? You're going to be turning away the positive and gravitating towards other negative thinking people who reaffirm exactly what you believe. Or if you have low self-esteem, you're going to be subconsciously more comfortable around other people with low self-esteem because that's what you believe you're capable of receiving. I say this because if you're worried about attracting the wrong type of person, not always, but usually it has to do with how you portray yourself to others. And it's up to you to reevaluate what type of people you're bringing into your life and if they're the right type of fit for you. When it comes to myself, I've never tried to hide who I am and how much I value financial responsibility. I enjoy saving money, I like investing, I like parking a few blocks away so I don't have to pay a parking meter, and I like getting good deals. And by shamelessly putting it out there, I happen to meet someone else who shares those exact same values, except she doesn't like when I use grocery bags as trash bags. I agreed to compromise, but we still do laundry during off-peak electrical hours. Here's what I'm getting at. If you want to meet someone who thinks the same way you do and shares those same beliefs, that is what you need to make known from the very beginning. Be exactly who you are and don't be apologetic about it.
I can really relate to what he's saying, to what Stephan's saying, that you really need to put your personality out there. You really need to show who you are and not a facade or not a fake representation of who you are. Because once you get into a relationship with that special someone, he or she will eventually figure out anyway who you really are. So you might as well show your true self from the get-go. And I'm very lucky that Actually, what I did when I was single was that I was very specific in what I wanted in a partner. And I listed down in a long bond paper the qualities that I wanted my future husband to have. So it was not more on the physical side, but more on the characteristics. Like I wanted my future husband to be Christ-centered, to really have a relationship with the Lord, to not have any vices like drinking or smoking or gambling, stuff like that, to be kind to his family, especially to the women in his family, because I believe that how a guy treats the women in his family, he will also treat you the same way as his wife. I also wanted someone who had an entrepreneurial mindset like me, because as an entrepreneur, I wanted someone with the same mindset, like a similar mindset, because once you're married, you become like one person, right? So you need to be going in the same direction. If you have different goals, then you can't arrive to your preferred destination effectively, because you would be going in opposite directions. So it's very important to be specific with what you want in your future spouse, because when you meet people who are not qualified according to the qualifications that you listed down, then you will immediately know and you will immediately be able to turn them down. But if there comes along someone who has these qualities, who has these characteristics, then you will also be able to identify immediately, like, oh, this person is a potential partner for me. So, yes, singles, it's good to be very specific with what you want, because with my husband, I got like, I don't know, 98% of what I listed down. So I consider myself very lucky to have someone very similar to me in terms of mindset, although we are complete opposite in terms of personality.
If you embrace exactly what you're looking for and you believe in what you're doing, it's going to make it that much easier to find someone else who thinks the exact same way. I also don't think it's unreasonable to place an emphasis on financial compatibility. I know money has previously been this taboo topic that no one talks about because it's not proper etiquette, but I think it's a very realistic component to any long-term relationship, and logistically, when you're in a serious relationship, you need to be upfront with how you plan to manage your finances and whether or not your long-term goals will clash with each other. For example, if one person is a live in the moment, spend money today because you could die tomorrow type, and the other person is deeply into early retirement with the intention of spending as little money as possible so it could last the rest of their lives, eventually something has to give, and if one person compromises their own beliefs for the other, eventually that could lead to resentment and in a relationship that's never healthy. I personally think that everyone has their own right to how they want to live their lives and how they want to spend their money. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach. And even though I preach the gospel of trying to save as much money as possible so you could go and invest it, I'm actually only talking to a really small portion of the entire population out there that enjoys that and resonates with what I have to say. Anyone else is free to do whatever they want, and I have no ill feelings towards that. But it's important to acknowledge that if you're going to have a long-term relationship and partner, that your beliefs should ideally line up about finances and what goals are important to save for. And remember, this has nothing to do with how much money someone makes. I've seen people make $500,000 a year, yet they're the most financially irresponsible people I've ever met who constantly seem to live paycheck to paycheck. Just like I've seen other people who make $25,000 a year yet somehow manage to save half of it. This is just about financial responsibility and setting the expectation and framework upfront about what works with you and what doesn't. Generally, it's important that both people have a healthy, positive attitude towards finances. And as long as there's the emphasis about working together towards a unified goal, how much money each person makes is somewhat irrelevant. Remember, there's no right or wrong or best or worst, it's just what works with you. You want to make sure that you have a similar outlook on saving, spending, investing, borrowing.
Before my husband and I got married, when we were still in the boyfriend and girlfriend stage, he really sat me down to discuss on our finances, like my financial status and his financial status. So it's not really something that's commonly discussed in a couple, I would say, because my friends don't really do this. But I really appreciated what we did, because now that we are married, it hasn't been very hard, that shift from having your own income to sharing it now with your spouse, like to sharing both your incomes now. So we did not have a hard time adjusting in the financial aspect, because we were very clear in the beginning what our standing was financially. So we sat down and then we discussed, like we really listed down in an Excel file, like how much we were making on a monthly basis, how much our expenses was, what our net worth was, what our investments were. Like, for example, I invested in the stock market, in insurance, and in mutual funds. So he also had similar investments. So we really listed it down, and then we summarized what our investments were, and we also discussed the things that we were spending on. And because of that, it has really helped us now as a married couple to continue being open with each other with regards to our finances, because now you become one, like your expenses become combined, your income is now combined. So again, we didn't have a hard time adjusting because we were very clear from the beginning where we were at financially. So for those of you who are in a relationship but not yet married, I would really encourage you to sit down with your boyfriend or girlfriend and then discuss where you are at financially, because this will really help you adjust, and this will help you manage your finances better once you are married, because you wouldn't really want to marry a person you assumed, because you didn't discuss it, you assume that he or she is financially okay, but then you discovered when you got married that this person has a huge debt. Okay, so that's something that you should never hide from the person that you are in a relationship with. It's better to be honest and to be upfront as to how you manage your finances individually, so that you can plan in a more efficient manner. You can plan together how you are going to manage your finances in the event that you do get married.
Debt and cost of living. And then you got to find a balance that you enjoy, and don't expect everyone is going to agree with that or work with that, and that's perfectly okay. I would say just the more clear you are about what you want, the more likely you are to find someone who shares those same beliefs.
Okay, so like what Graham Stephan said, that it's very important to be clear about what you want. And that's how I was when I was still single. I was very clear about what I wanted in a partner. And then when John and I became boyfriend and girlfriend, we were also very clear as to what we wanted, as to what our expectations were in the relationship that we had. Like, we even discussed how often we would see each other, because we were still very new then. So how often we would see each other, what my expectations were towards him as my boyfriend, and he also shared what his expectations were to me as his then girlfriend. So having both our expectations out in the open, really allowed us to skip a lot of those petty little fights that, couples have. And with my boyfriend before, I used to have that a lot. Like, since I wasn't clear with what I wanted when I was in college, I would like get angry at him for little things, but he didn't really know what I was even angry about sometimes. I didn't even tell him most of the time. I was very childish and immature before. So I really appreciate our relationship, Jong and I, about being very open about our expectations, about what we wanted. We even made agreements as to what to do in the event that I would get angry or he would get angry. So we already discussed everything upfront, and it has helped us avoid a lot of fights. Very, very helpful to just be upfront and clear with what you guys want.
With that, it's also important to acknowledge that you can't change someone, and the saying, what you see is what you get, is probably a realistic mantra of what to expect. Like, if you're dating someone with a terrible spending habit, don't expect that you could change that person in any time.
Yes, I agree with this. Like, if you're dating someone with, for example, like Graham Stephan said, that who has a terrible spending habit, then you probably won't be able to change that person, because the only person that can change you is you. Like, other people won't be able to change you if you don't want to change. So it's really up to you to decide. Like, I have this friend who got married, and then he later on discovered that his wife was really terrible in managing money. And because of that, their relationship really suffered because of his spouse not being able to manage their finances well. So that's one very important thing to check when you are dating someone. Like, how do they manage their finances? So you better observe their spending habits and how they manage their money.
type of meaningful way without that person actually wanting to change. Like they say, you could lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And that could be true with just about any facet of any relationship. That's why I've learned that over time, you can't expect a person to change for you, nor you for them. Now, that's not to say there shouldn't be any amount of compromise, because that's to be expected. But fundamentally, if you see flaws in a person that you're trying to fix in order for them to fit the mold of exactly what you're looking for, then most likely, they're probably not the right fit for you, as hard as that might be to acknowledge. Again, people could certainly change, but they need to want to do it for themselves in order for that change to be long-lasting. Otherwise, you'll likely be setting yourself up for disappointment. And with a topic like this, it's impossible to talk in absolutes because people are, well, people. We don't always make sense, we're not always logical and predictable, and many times our own ego can throw things wildly off. But relatively speaking, if you could expect and accept the other person for who they are and that works for you, then great. If not, then it's better to recognize that sooner than later so you could free yourself up to meet someone else who might be a better fit. And my advice when it comes to this, at least from my own experience, is that when you're looking for something or trying to get in a relationship, you tend not to find it. Instead, the best way to meet someone is organically, as you're already going through your own path and purpose.
Okay, so it happened in the same way to me. Like at the time that I meet my then boyfriend, or my now husband, at the time when I met Jong, although I was already ready to settle down and get married and, stuff like that, adulting life, I wasn't really actively looking for a partner to be in a relationship with. I was just going along my own way, doing the same usual things, doing real estate, doing Toastmasters, and although I wasn't actively looking, I was already praying to the Lord, like, Lord, if it's your will for me to get married, then please allow me to find a man who will really pursue me. But if it's not your will for me to get married, then I accept, because I know that your plans are greater than my plans, that I will be happier with whatever your plans are for me. So I already was at that point in life where, okay, Lord, it's up to you. And then I attended one Toastmasters meeting, and that was where I met my husband. So we sat together in a Toastmasters meeting, and we got to talk and got to know each other, and that's where it began. So for those of you who are Toastmasters, you may just meet your future spouse in one of those Toastmasters meetings.
Purpose, and it just so happens. By focusing on yourself and being comfortable with who you are first, you're naturally going to put yourself out there in such a way that people gravitate towards. And from that, you tend to meet other great like-minded people who are a really good fit. That's not just for relationships, by the way, but this also applies to friends and colleagues. And also, nothing about dating or being in a relationship needs to be expensive either. Like Macy and I will go out to dinner and split a meal most of the time because the portions are just massive. Or we'll make dinner at home and try to make our way through watching season 5 of Dexter. Sometimes it's just the smallest, most basic things are really the experiences that you'll never forget. Being in a relationship does not mean driving around Ferraris and chartering helicopters for wine tasting in Santa Barbara on Sunday. What matters the most is just the thought behind it, and being in a relationship does not need to be expensive. Finally, I know I can't talk about money in relationships without addressing the elephant in the room that I have been asked about for years now that I've never addressed, and that would be my thoughts on prenuptial agreements. Now, for anyone who's not aware, this is an agreement that clarifies how things like money, investments, and assets will be divided before getting married. Now, here's the thing. I realize how sensitive of a topic this is and how it's often warped into this notion of make sure you don't lose out of your money. But when you take a step back from a practical standpoint, what a prenup really accomplishes is an agreement between two people that could be used instead of relying on a state's template in terms of a separation. As it stands, without a prenuptial agreement, your financial contract is one with the state, not one that's tailored and customized between two individuals. So this agreement outlines the expectations up front in the event something were to happen. Oftentimes, this also brings up very important discussions that I think are worth having before getting married. This is up to both of you to decide what's fair, but I don't think a prenup in any way invalidates a relationship or implies that you're planning for failure. In fact, I actually think the opposite. Even though you don't plan to get in a car accident, you still wear a seatbelt. You still get health insurance even though you don't plan on getting ill. You still get home insurance even though you don't anticipate anything happening to your house. It's precautionary, but the best case is that it never mattered anyway. And the worst case is that both parties have already agreed to the terms ahead of time so they know exactly what to expect. Now, in terms of what's fair, well, that's really for two people to decide, and that's way above my qualification to ever give any type of advice on this. What people decide to do amongst themselves is totally fine with me as long as both people are okay with it and agree with it. But a prenuptial agreement to me could be a healthy agreement with very little downside, even though you never expect it to come into play anyway. And listen, at the end of the day, a relationship could bring an immense amount of joy into your life in so many immeasurable ways. But it's just as equally important to make sure you're attracting the people who are the right fit for you. And being totally upfront with who you are, what you want, and what you expect without doing things purposely just to get in a relationship. Ideally, I think it's really important to learn how to be comfortable with yourself first so that you could build the confidence of being.
Okay, so when it comes to being comfortable with yourself, it will really come with age. Like when I was in high school, that was the time when I was most insecure about who I was. Like I didn't like my appearance, I didn't like a lot of things about me. But then as I grew older, I started to appreciate myself. I started to like things about myself. And the older I grow, the more I have come to love myself. So I think that comes with age, like really just accepting who you are and loving who you are. That comes as you grow older, as you come to accept yourself more, as you learn more skills, also as you become more settled in life. And if you're single, once you become more settled, once you become more confident with who you are and what you do, you will just naturally attract the right person to you.
Self-sufficient as a person. Something like that just comes with time, and there's no rush and there's no race to the finish line. Relationships are an incredible and integral growing and learning experience as a person, and it's not something to shy away from because you believe money complicates things. But learning how to showcase exactly who you are and what you stand for is not only a quality that a future partner will appreciate, but it's also going to help shape you into a more confident person in general. The sooner you get in the habit of doing this, the easier it's going to be in the future. This basically all just comes down to this. You are the sum of your own actions, and it's important to take responsibility for the decisions that you've made. So let this decision be one of them, and smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm because it means a lot and I really appreciate it. Alright, I read exactly what you told me to say, word for word. Can I go now?
Yeah, I guess so. Are we gonna go get me those Louboutins now? And the matching Ferrari?
I guess so.
All right.
With that said, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Also, feel free to add me on Instagram. I post here pretty much daily, so if you want to be a part of it there, feel free to add me there. As on my second channel, The Graham Stephan Show, I post there every single day. I'm not posting here. So if you want to see a brand new video from me every single day, make sure to add yourself to that. And lastly, if you want a free stock, Webull is holding a promotion where they will give you a totally free stock worth at minimum $8 all the way up to $1,600 when you deposit $100 on the platform. And again, $8 is now the absolute minimum. So if you're interested in a totally free stock with a great free stock trading program, the link is down below. Enjoy the free stock. Let me know which one you get. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.
Okay, so that ends Graham Stephan's video, and maybe to wrap up the whole video on his thoughts on money and relationships, what I believe is that it's just very important to be, when you are already, if you're not in a relationship yet, it's very important to be clear with what you want, so that when you see what you want, you will know. And if you see what you don't want, you will also know. So be clear with what you want. And once you are in a relationship, be clear also with your partner what your expectations are. Discuss everything upfront with regards to finances and also other things, like relationship-wise. What are your expectations with time, with how much time you should spend with each other, and what are your expectations on maybe date night? So the stuff that you want, just lay it out there so that you can come up with an agreement that is okay for both of you guys. So basically, it's basically the same. Whether it comes to money or relationships, it's very clear to just be upfront, to be honest, but in a respectful way, so that you can avoid any fights and you can resolve any conflicts. So I hope you liked this video. If you have any other videos that you would like for me to react on, then just comment down in the comment section below. Give me the link to the videos that you would like for me to react on. If you learned something new from this video or from whatever I said today, then please let me know what it is that you liked about my reaction to this video. I would really appreciate that. And don't forget to hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to my channel so that you will be notified if I have new videos like this one.